Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the PT on ICE Daily Show. And today we're exploring the menopause transition and how certain factors can influence participation in physical activity. We'll also dive into our role as rehab providers in helping to support and treat these individuals. These factors came from an article that was recently published in December of 2024. Y'all, that was only last year, only last month. And it was entitled Experiences of the Menopause Transition in Irish Women and How It Impacts Motivators, Facilitators, and Barriers to Physical Activity Engagement. The article was authored by Kelly McCulty and team, and I've got the DOI linked in the caption. The reason I wanted to come on here and talk about this topic is I feel like no one talks about menopause, and we are just getting started in terms of better understanding it in the literature space. But also, it is so important for us as rehab providers to get inside our clients' brains and their hearts and understand where they're coming from, what motivates them, what really grinds their gears. And then we can overlay specific rehab treatments or interventions to match what it is that they're motivated by or facilitated by, or things that just get in the way for them. So, in the literature, it is actually well documented that physical activity can have profound effects on reducing the common physical and cognitive symptoms of menopause, like vasomotor symptoms such as hot flushes or musculoskeletal issues like joint pain, as well as other disruptions in the mental well-being, brain fog, and mood swings. Yet, during this menopause transition, there is a huge decline in women actually participating in physical activity, even though it's something that can help their symptoms. Through one-on-one interviews, this qualitative study unpacked motivators, facilitators, and barriers to participation in physical activity for 12 Irish women undergoing that menopause transition window. So, I'm going to now talk about those three big categories: the motivators, facilitators, and barriers to physical activity, and then kind of interweave what our role is or could be to support these pieces. Motivating factors for participating in physical activity and included managing menopause transition symptoms. Secondly, motivators were opportunities for social engagement via role models. And then thirdly, individuals experiencing similar obstacles in shared life transitions. These were all things that got people into the gym, got people moving and exercising. So many women express that when they were actually exercising, it felt difficult due to symptoms of fatigue or musculoskeletal pain, but they felt so much better afterwards. As in, engaging in physical activity actually helped them manage their symptoms, both physically and mentally. Heck yeah. This is a behavior that we as rehab providers need to reinforce with them. Remind them, hey, remember how you felt before and then after you did that remom in the clinic? Exercise is so helpful for you, and it can help you feel empowered. So we need to encourage them to acknowledge and go back for more of that feel-good experience. The women that were interviewed also felt that from a social aspect, interacting with individuals undergoing similar experiences added a ton of value to this particular stage in life, more so than any other life transitions they had previously experienced. So, every person's experience and relationship with menopause is unique. And in the clinic setting, we can get curious about the specific motivators of the client in front of us, whether it's those three that I just listed, or we can personalize them according to who's in front of us. If it's managing their symptoms like menopause symptoms, like bone density or improving sleep, we can educate them that, hey, exercise can be extremely helpful in impacting those symptoms. Okay, those were the motivators of what got individuals in the menopause transition phase into the gym or getting their fitness on. What were facilitators? So, key facilitators in engaging physical activity were one, a community or gym where they felt supported versus isolated. Two, modifications were provided for exercises. So at the whiteboard chat, um, the instructors were throwing out some modifications for them. And three, using aids like hormone replacement therapy. So those are the three facilitators. Let's unpack them a little bit more. Social support in an accessible environment was important. When I read this in the article, it kind of broke my heart because the participants mentioned that, hey, just having a sense of like a fraternity or group exercise in a fitness space that was women only and emphasized collective empathy and understanding. That's what they wanted. And it differed from their experiences at a traditional gym or another space where they mentioned feeling intimidated and unwelcomed. I don't know about you, but I couldn't imagine wanting to go get my fitness on in a place that I didn't feel like I was part of the group or like I was, welcomed there. The second thing is for facilitators of physical activity, they also felt if modifications were suggested, say at the quote whiteboard chat, especially on a day where their symptoms were greater than usual, that helped facilitate them in their fitness. So, say, for example, if women are experiencing joint pain or fatigue, we can lean on those progressive overload principles to show them what they do have capacity for on that particular day. Maybe that's explosive heel raises or quicker mini hops or jumps to a box height that feels okay for them. So there is always something that they can do that will mimic the stimulus. Empower them to show up to the gym, even if it means that their workout goes off script a little bit. And then a third facilitator was hormone replacement therapy. And that was deemed a really helpful tool to actually get them to a point where they could partake in physical activity. So, what does this mean for us as rehab providers? What do these facilitators tell us? We can leverage them. We can recommend group classes or fitness spaces that we know instructors have an awareness of the emotional difficulties of the menopause transition, like weight gain, fatigue, musculoskeletal pain. And these spaces can ultimately also be really welcoming social support systems for our clients. And as a PT or a coach, we can keep in mind offering alterations or modifications to specific exercises, whether that's in the clinic or for their home exercise programs, that can be supportive for the individual, especially on days where they're just not feeling like they can make it happen. But knowing that there could be an option for them is so helpful. And then finally, the hormone replacement therapy. We definitely can discuss the benefits of hormone replacement therapy in relation to their symptoms, encourage them to advocate for a discussion with their providers to lean on HRT if it's a good option for them. And then finally, barriers. The article talked about barriers, and they found that common barriers were one, perceived reduced physical capacity, two, physical and psychological symptoms associated with menopause transition, and then three, prioritizing jobs and caregiving roles over their own self-care. So these were all barriers to getting an individual into physical activity. One recurring theme was that these individuals questioned whether they had the capacity to participate in exercise, like high intensity activities, say running. Additionally, symptoms like joint pain, fatigue, and feeling self conscious in public exercise settings due to weight changes or body image concerns were huge barriers to physical activity. As healthcare providers, it is our role to listen compassionately and educate women of these potential menopause symptoms, as well as the benefits of exercise in combating these symptoms, especially things like higher resistance, higher intensity, aerobic training, and mitigating the severity of these symptoms. And then a third barrier was that women tended to be in a caregiver role, and they just simply prioritized that over caring for themselves. And this was a barrier to get their daily exercise in. With our clients, we can emphasize how important it is to water and fertilize their own soil in order to care for themselves so that they can show up at their jobs or as a caregiver. We can maybe suggest, hey, can we get the whole family involved in physical activity? Can you, if you have breaks at work, can you get a little workout in during that time and still fuel? And then can you maybe go walk outside or use a walking pad during Zoom meetings just to kind of like do something in order to try and get that physical activity in? So, limitations to this study, the external validity is low, given that the population studied were 12 Irish women versus the broader population globally. And then with that low sample size, um, the demographics kind of were biased towards higher levels of education and folks who were relatively healthy. They reported 10% were obese. So I'm just curious, would these factors be any different with folks who had a different, like a lower level education background or poorer health profiles? They may select different motivators, facilitators, or barriers. And 80% of these individuals had children. And so, again, just thinking about would their experience be different if they were nulliparous, because they may have a different time span overall that they were in an estrogen deficient state. So, to wrap things up, menopause is a topic that's just not commonly discussed in the community, in our clinics, and it affects a ton of our clients. And it's kind of like one of those silent things, like people don't know you're going through menopause, but it sucks when you are. And so having that outlet, having that community that supports you is really key in getting these individuals out into getting their fitness on. And we can just make a huge difference in supporting women, providing suggestions for maintaining their health amidst all of those newer shifts in physical and psychosocial symptoms, because we want to help improve their quality of life during this transition. It does take a village, though. So team up with other menopause forward or menopause specialists and providers in your community, like nutritionists or mental health providers, to help the clients from a multidisciplinary approach. And then advocate for awareness, foster conversations to break through that stigma that is menopause. No one should be shocked, including my cat, who is 18 and also crying about this. No one should be shocked when they approach this life transition or feel isolated going through it. So if you found this discussion helpful, hop into our L1 online cohort, as this is a topic that we take a deep dive into. Our next cohort starts in March, and otherwise you can catch us on the road. Our upcoming live courses are in Windsor, Colorado. That's going to be March 15th and 16th with myself. and Dr. Rachel Moore without the cat. And then we'll be on the East Coast in Burlington, New Jersey, March 28th and 29th, and then West Coast in Bellingham, Washington, April 12th and 13th. Thank you all so much for listening. I appreciate you all, and I will see you next time.